What's good, fam? What's good? TC here with I.O.B.A. So, unless you've been living under a motherfucking rock for the last couple of days, I'm sure you heard by now about the college admittance scandal that's been going around that everybody been talking about. And, the shit got me feeling some type of way because of this. Well, first, let me say this. I was checking out the Young Turks yesterday when it first happened, right? And old Cenk Uygur, I got some funny feelings about that dude, but Cenk Uygur was talking about how he called them kids. The kids didn't know that their parents was doing this shit, that the kids shouldn't be held accountable. He was calling them kids. It ain't never kids when black young people get in trouble. They young adults and they knew what they was doing and this and that. But when it's white people, it's kids. But anyway, he said that they shouldn't be held accountable and it was all the parents doing and all of the adults should be the ones taking the heat for this. Well, I totally disagree with that notion. I think the fucking kids knew something was up. I mean, I think that if you a young person, right, and you know you ain't got the sense that God gave motherfucking billy goats, but you walk into a testing center and to take your SATs or your college entrance exams or whatever, and you walk out with a near perfect score, you know something had to be up. Especially if you know you got influential parents, you know they had to pull some strings for you. They've been pulling strings for you all this time. So you know that something had to be up. So to me, they're just as guilty as they motherfucking crooked ass parents. And also, I think that the coaches and all of these other people, I think each and every level of this shit should be fully investigated. I really do. Because ain't no clean hands in this. Ain't no clean hands in this bullshit. And this shit been going on for decades. Actually, it's been going on for hundreds of years. I mean, white people gaming the system and cheating and lying and stealing to get what they want. And what they want is everything. And where they want it from everybody. With black people to stay at the bottom of it all. This is why reparations is important, because this is the kind of shit white people have been doing for hundreds of years to help themselves move forward and up and over and above everybody else. You feel me? This is why the wealth inequality and the wealth income gap in this country is so great, because of all of the cheating and the payoffs and the lying and the shit that they've been doing in not just in education, but in every other aspect of American life. Now, you remember a couple of years ago when some black educational professionals, some black administrators and teachers got in all of this trouble about changing these grades and giving people these passing scores when they didn't deserve it, just because they had to meet a certain quota in order to secure their funding. They had to pass a certain number of kids anyway. I think that's how it went. Anyway, a bunch of them got sent to jail. They got these long prison sentences, right? And more recently, this black woman got, thrown in jail because she put a different address on her child's application. So I think it was her father's address, the baby's father's address, on the paperwork so her child could get in a better school in a different district. They wanted to put her in jail. They did put her in jail. They let her out, but they put her in jail. Now, all of these motherfucking white people doing this shit, I bet you ain't none of them going to jail. And the head guy, right, the guy who's running the phony nonprofit, the guy that was taking the payoff and was facilitating all of this, what do you call it, this side door activity, that guy, he said he's done it millions of times. Now, I don't know if he did it millions of times, but I can guarantee you he did it hundreds of times anyway. I mean, seriously. Hundreds of times anyway. This is how they fucking roll. This is what people who come from other parts of the world come to this country don't understand. How low these motherfucking crackers go and how devious they truly are. And they're telling us we got to pull ourselves up by our bootstraps. We just ain't smart enough. We genetically inferior. We're this and we're that. When all the time they running these motherfucking backdoor deals, stealing, lying, cheating, paying off, and doing all they can to game the fucking system and telling everybody else they got to play fairly. This is the kind of shit we deal with every day. This is why we say we need our fucking reparations. This is why we say give us our fucking money. You know what I mean? This is why we say give us our fucking money. It might not level the playing field, but give me my money. I'll level the playing field my own self. Give me my fucking reparations, or give it to my grandkids, or give it to my great-grandkids, or my great-great-grandkids. I don't give a fuck. We should stay on this shit for as long as it takes because of shit like this. Because this ain't this college entrance exam scandal shit. This shit didn't just stop right here. It didn't start here, and it's not stopping here. And it's on every level. I mean, the bigger the college, the more skullduggery. It's like when I was competing as a bodybuilder. The bigger the contest, the more the shit was fixed. They just caught one fucking guy. And this guy, and they wasn't even looking for him. He was doing some bullshit with the stock market, some pump and dump stock exchange bullshit that they were investigating. And they had him by the fucking balls, and he had to come up with a way to, he had this ace in the hole he had to play. So now what they going to do with it? Probably nothing. They're going to make these people pay a little bit of money and try to run this shit through the news cycle real quick and get the fucking, and get the attention off of them. Probably get some more R. Kelly, Michael Jackson shit out there. This is the type of shit these white people do. This is the type of shit rich people do. All through the goddamn system. I'm sure this shit go on in other countries too. But I'm not really concerned with other countries. I'm concerned with this country because this is where I live. And bribing fucking coaches. I mean, check it. You notice they never bribe or them motherfuckers get in trouble too because there's recruiting scandals all the time. But you notice none of them motherfuckers Photoshop their face on a football player or a basketball player or a track athlete because them the motherfuckers that bring the money, the real money into the school. The football players and the basketball players fill up, 50, 60,000 seat stadiums. But let one of them goddamn black athletes take a lunch from a coach or an alumni or a booster or something. They throw them out of school. They take their scholarship. They do all kind of shit to them for the least little thing. Let the motherfuckers the football players or basketball players talk about getting paid. They tell you what they tell you. Your education is your payment. You're getting all this good free education. That's your motherfucking payment. And you know that's bullshit. Because half of them motherfuckers they can't read past the 8th grade level. But I digress on that point. The black athletes get held to way more. They put these motherfuckers on teams and sports that nobody really gives a shit about. Right? Rowing, water polo, shit like that. Don't nobody know who the fuck those players are. And they bribe those coaches because it's harder to bribe the football coach or the basketball coach or the track coach. It's harder to bribe. Them motherfuckers got $1 million contracts already. They sitting good. They got $1 million contracts and probably endorsement deals already. But if you coaching the goddamn water polo team or you coaching the fencing team or some shit like that, and you make $150,000 a year, it's easy to bribe your motherfucking ass and Photoshop your head onto the face of onto the body of one of them motherfucking athletes right there. Because don't nobody know who the fuck they are anyway. And your dumbass child ain't never set foot on the practice field to play lacrosse or water polo or rowing or any of that shit, archery or any of that shit. It's like Jason Black said, those kids, those rich ass kids, they don't even need the fucking degree. They just need the credential to be on their resume so that when daddy hands the business over to them, they got, something that shows that they have a legitimate education. When in reality, they don't. I think that everybody who got one of those crooked ass motherfucking degrees should have to give it back. I think all of the people involved in that shit should go to jail. I really do. Because if it was all black, they'd be in jail. They'll be looking for ways to lock them all up. They'll be talking that shit and it'll dominate the news cycle for the next 3 weeks. They'll be talking about it. But I guarantee you they ain't even going to be talking about this shit. This time next week, this shit going to be all forgotten about. And the game and the bullshit will continue. And the motherfucking the kids, they call them kids. The young people involved, them the ones that get me. You should listen to some of the interviews that some of them fucking kids give. They don't even care about college. They don't care about none of it because they set for life. But their parents because of how it make them look. You worth $50 million and you could brag about how your child got into Harvard and how your child got into Yale and how your child got here and got there. And when you know your child can barely tie his own fucking shoe, can't even get out of his own way. I mean, when I was in school, right, I went to a big-ass school. My high school had damn near 2,000 kids in it. And for the size of the town I came from, that's a pretty big school. And the really, really bright kids came from all backgrounds. You had some smart black kids. You had some smart white kids. You had some smart Asian kids. You had some smart Hispanic kids. But everybody else was like BC students. You know what I mean? So where all these really super bright white kids come from when they're telling you about how you wouldn't be here if it wasn't for affirmative action? Not for nothing, but affirmative action started getting taken apart back in the 90s. And motherfuckers can't get in on affirmative action like they used to back then. Ain't no set-asides and shit like that like it was back then. Ain't none of that shit. That shit got... White people started talking about something called reverse discrimination and electing all these Republicans, and they started dismantling that shit. So most of the black kids that you see in these schools got there on their motherfucking merit, on their true hard work to earn a degree that they probably ain't even going to be able to fucking use. Man, listen. It's going to be interesting to see how far this goes. And I'm going to stay on top of it. I want to see what happens. Although I know how it's going to play out. Ain't none of these motherfucking crackers going to jail. They're going to pay out some money and they're going to bury the story and the shit going to go on for the next 50, 60, 100 years. Because that's the way this country is. You know what I mean? They, like I said earlier, they ain't even mean to catch these people. And it ain't like they didn't know it was going on. And it ain't like them motherfucking young people didn't know that they weren't smart enough to pass some fucking tests. I mean, check it. I'm a pretty good test taker. I knew every time I walked in a building or every time I walked into a facility to take a test, A, whether or not I could pass it, and I knew, B, once I took that test, I knew whether or not I passed it. I ain't never took a test and didn't know at the end of it whether or not I passed the motherfucker. If I fucking blew it, I knew it. If I wasn't smart enough to pass the test, I probably wouldn't even try to take it. I go study up, brush up on this, brush up on that. Then I take the shit. These motherfuckers walk in knowing it. They had motherfuckers taking the test for them, They had a whole network of shit. You're talking about a multi-million-dollar operation involving dozens and dozens of fucking people. Well, I'm getting close to my time limit. I'm going to close out with that. I'm going to talk some more on this shit, though. Let's see where this goes. There's some scandalous shit, y'all. Crackers ain't got no motherfucking... Ain't no level to how low they'll sink to get what they want. And what do? They want it all. Te-Ce, and I'm out.